Hey guys, it's JP, and today I'm going to go over another great exercise to strengthen your hips, specifically the hip abductors, so you can improve the way you run. In my last video, I discussed the lateral step tap and how it is performed. Once demonstrating mastery over the different variations for the lateral step tap, then I would usually incorporate side stepping. In this video, I'll explain why performing this exercise may be a great addition to your routine. First, I'll talk about the why. Sidestepping is a very popular exercise to target the hip abductors, which play an essential role during running. However, why would you incorporate these over a variety of other exercises that target this group of muscles? It is important to understand the reasons why you would add sidestepping or any other exercise to your training program. Doing so will help you shape your workout based on your needs. So here are some reasons why sidestepping may be a great fit to your program. 1. It is a closed chain exercise. What this means is that this is a kind of exercise that requires you to stabilize a distal portion of the muscle being worked. This is similar to the conditions required as you run, as the lower leg stabilizes on the ground during the stance phase of the running cycle, where the hip abductors are most active. 2. It incorporates dynamic weight shifting. This involves another component similar to running, which is that you actively weight shift onto each leg as you run. 3. This exercise is very adaptable. It can be modified based on your intention, whether it is to improve hip and knee control by having the person step over mini hurdles, or further challenging the hip abductors by incorporating a band and or changing the position of where the band is placed. Now that we went over reasons why you should incorporate it, I'll show you how the exercise is performed, as well as different variations to further challenge yourself. Remember, if you haven't done the lateral step tap from my previous video, I recommend you trying that one first. Now, before we get fancy, let's go over basic sidestepping. First, let's go over positioning. Keep the knee slightly bent to around 20 to 30 degrees. As I mentioned before, while this does increase quad activation, it also places the leg in a similar position to what is seen during the mid-stance phase of running, where the hip abductors produce its peak force. As you sidestep, make sure to keep the hips and shoulders level throughout the activity. This prevents some common compensatory strategies like leaning toward one side. Then, gently tap out. You want to keep this very light, as if you are not trying to make any sound. Then, shift your body toward that leg until the knee is over the foot. Once this occurs, then bring the other leg toward you. This segment often gets overlooked. If done too early, you will be stabilizing the leg in this kind of position, which would end up mimicking a compensatory strategy seen if the hips do not properly stabilize the leg. If this kind of positioning translates to running, this also puts increased stress on the knee joint. Anyway, after performing this sequence, then you can continue to repeat it. A typical set for this kind of exercise is performing it 30 seconds to the right, then to the left, or vice versa. You may feel a slight burning in those hip muscles since they are working in this exercise. Once you master this one, you can move on to incorporating bands. The first position people typically place the mini loop band is right above the knees. And just quickly, I know some of you were asking where you can get these, so I provided a link to these resistance bands below from Amazon. Anyway, incorporating this challenges the hip abductors more, specifically on the stance leg. You may initially feel a moderate burn in the hips as you begin to do this one. Once you master this, you can move on to the next band placement. This time, you can perform the exercise with the band around the ankle. This is even more challenging than the previous exercise due to the muscles working against a longer lever arm. Again, make sure to follow the tips that I provided earlier. If you cannot do it properly, I recommend going back a step. Remember that quality always trumps quantity. Once you master this one, people typically increase the resistance of the bands. However, there is one more progression you can also perform and is not as known. This last progression is performed by looping the band around the middle of the foot. This challenges the hips the most compared to the previous variations, as the band is farthest from the body. I will point out that a common compensation for this one is pointing the foot outward. Therefore, a good cue is to try to keep the foot facing forward. Once you master this one, then you can incorporate higher resistance bands, or start going over mini hurdles as you sidestep. And those are my thoughts on sidestepping, as well as how to perform it properly so you can use it to strengthen your hips and improve the way you run. I hope you guys found this one useful. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching.